This is JD with a new edition of Weekly News Pulse, a bouquet of handpicked events in last 7 days from across the planet. I request you to like and share these weekly news stories, subscribe to my channel and put in your valuable comments. Your comments will be a guiding light in my endeavor. News Pill 1. US House passes gun control bill.
So to those who a moment of silence is good enough because you don't have the courage to take a vote to protect the children, I would say your political survival is totally insignificant to the survival of compared to the survival of our children. I urge my colleagues on both sides of the aisle to come together with strong aye vote on all of the provisions in the bill for the final package.
The Democratic-led House on Wednesday passed legislation to tighten the nation's gun laws as lawmakers in both chambers mount a response to a pair of mass shootings in New York and Texas that jolted the nation. The legislation passed mainly along party lines at around 223 to 204, with 5 Republicans joining all but 2 of the Democrats. The lower chamber on Thursday also approved by 224 to 202 legislation that would allow family members and law enforcement to obtain an extreme risk protection order from a federal court to temporarily remove access to firearms to those deemed a danger to themselves or others. Called the Protecting Our Kids Act, the broader gun control legislation is a package of 8 bills that cleared the House Judiciary Committee along party lines last week. News Pill 2. Shot dead by Sri Lankan police while trying to get fuel.
Somebody posting a Facebook status criticising a government could lead to them being detained and questioned for a number of hours.
Now the default position is people don't trust the police.
पाइनएप्पल बनाना सब कुछ
And
ऐसे नहीं
so
The United Nations and human rights groups have warned authorities in Sri Lanka against using excessive force at largely peaceful protests during a growing economic crisis. For weeks, the police have been accused of heavy-handedness during protests, though authorities say the use of water cannon and tear gas is to restore order as tensions escalate. But the family of a young father who was shot dead by police say they are still fighting for justice. News Pill 3. 3 foreigners who fought for Ukraine sentenced to death.
Well, 3 foreign fighters have been sentenced to death by a court in Russian-controlled eastern Ukraine. The 2 British men and a Moroccan were captured by Russian forces while fighting with Ukrainian troops. After a 3-day trial, the trio were convicted as acting as mercenaries as well as other alleged crimes. The UK has slammed this verdict, saying the Geneva Convention prohibits prosecution of prisoners of war.
2 British citizens and a Moroccan were sentenced to death on Thursday for fighting on Ukraine's side in a punishment handed down by the country's pro-Moscow rebels. Russia's state news agency RIA Novosti reported that the defendants, identified as Aiden Aslin, Sean Pinner, and Brahim Sadon, will face a firing squad. They have a month to appeal. British Foreign Secretary Elizabeth Truss pronounced the sentencing a sham judgment with absolutely no legitimacy. Prime Minister Boris Johnson's spokesman Jamie Davis said that under the Geneva Conventions, POWs are entitled to immunity as combatants. Sadon's father, Tahir Sadon, told the Moroccan online Arab language newspaper Mother 21 that his son is not a mercenary and that he holds Ukrainian citizenship. Aslin's and Pinner's families have said the 2 men were long-serving members of the Ukrainian military. Both are said to have lived in Ukraine since 2018. Newspill 4. Japan eases foreign tourism ban.
Being in Japan can be pretty great. That's not me bragging. It's a statement many Australians agree with, given it's consistently one of our top 5 international travel destinations. But it's a pleasure that's been off limits to foreign tourists since the pandemic began. But things are starting to change. The plan is for the reopening of tourism to be gradual. At first, it'll be just for those who are taking part in strictly scheduled and supervised travel tours. But tour operators hope it won't be too long before others are allowed to enter. International tourism is big business in Japan. Domestic tourism has boomed in recent weeks, and so far there hasn't been a spike in COVID numbers. Thanks to that, the mood here is certainly relaxing, and it won't be long before tourism hotspots like this see a lot more foot traffic.
Japan on Friday eased its borders for foreign tourists and began accepting applications, but only for those on guided package tours who are willing to follow mask wearing and other antivirus measures as the country cautiously tries to balance business and infection worries. Friday is the first day to start procedures needed for the entry, and arrivals are not expected until late June at the earliest. Even though airport immigration and quarantine offices stood by for any possible arrival. The Japan Tourism Agency says tours are being accepted from 98 countries, regions including the United States, Britain, China, South Korea, Thailand and Singapore, which are deemed as having low infection risks. Foreign tourists' arrival fell more than 90% in 2020 from a record 31.9 million the year before, almost wiping out the pre-pandemic inbound tourism market of more than 4 trillion yen, that is around US $30 billion. That is all for today. Thank you and goodbye for now. Stay blessed. See you in my next weekly episode.